Just flip between two slides so it stops saying it's bad.
It's not. It's not.
It appears to still be the same. Yeah, it's not. We're supposedly streaming. We're still getting the.
Yes.
Oh, it's why does it work there?
Because you're using Linux.
No. Oh, it took 10 seconds to buffer. That's what it was.
OffSec is better than DefSec. Hi.
Oh, I gotta talk. I guess I'm presenting. Okay, we're gonna get started. We're only like, what, 11 minutes late, which is pretty good some days. So, okay. A couple general announcements before we get into Dovecot Postfix. This URL is, the URL for the slides. I suggest you do that now because there's going to be a link later on that you are not going to want to try to type. So, tinyurl.com/defsecpostfix 2020-01. It'll show up here in another 2 slides. Hopefully somebody will post links in Slack here in a minute, which will probably also be me. We are doing mock free signups. This will be the last mock competition of the year. I think we still plan to do one more Cyber Conquest after this, but this is the last normal style mock competition. We're probably going to have it February 8th. Date's still pending, but that's probably where it's going to be. It's a 4-hour mock competition, a little bit longer than we've done in the past. And that's the giant link that you're not going to want to try to type right now. So that's really all we got for announcements tonight. Now we're going to have Shane present practical postfix.
Hello. We're going to be talking about postfix. And I name it practical postfix because everyone says Dovecot and Postfix, but Dovecot is like worthless. Okay, so here's what we're going to go over. You can read. All right, excellent. So what is mail? Mail is exactly what you think it is. It's Gmail, it's SMTP, it's CCDC boxes that you may not know how to configure. But you see it in a lot of different ways. Like the web interface is a lot different than the command line, and what you might interact with is still the same thing underneath, but it looks a lot different. So that's what we're going to be talking about mostly is postfix. It's like a rat or something. 2 things we're going to be talking about. Postfix is SMTP, Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, and it's our MTA and our MDA, which are defined right below it. Mail transfer agent takes the mail and puts it in the right place. It's kind of like a router if routers didn't already exist and they only did mail. The mail delivery agent takes it from the MTA, which is also postfix, so it passes it to itself and then puts it in your mailbox for Dovecot to collect later. Dovecot does POP3 and IMAP. No one does POP3. I don't know why you would. IMAP is the more modern thing for you to collect your emails, and it's more interactive. Emails stay on the server. If you use POP3, you're literally getting them from the server, and server deletes them. So it's like the post office. Hence the name. Quick summary. Postfix sends the mail. Dovecot allows users like you to get it. Here's a big diagram. Yeah. So the UAs, like Thunderbird, Outlook, or whatever you're using, access and send. In this diagram, they're just sending because Dovecot isn't covered in this diagram. So you pass it to SMTP on port 25, which then routes it to the correct place through DNS, which we'll talk about later. And then normal internet routers do their thing, getting it to the correct place. And then the MTA on the other side accepts it, puts it in an optional DA, which is the delivery agent, which puts it in an optional message store, optional AA, which is access agent, that puts it to the UA, like Thunderbird or whatever you're using, Outlook for DSU. So yeah, this is a pretty good summary. Do you guys have any concerns so far? No? Okay. Postfix, episode 1. Here's what email looks like when you just, if you catted an email, that's what it would look like. So you can see it's really disgusting and you don't want to read it. Good thing you don't have to. So SPF, you'll probably hear that a lot if you read about email. It's called Sender Policy Framework, and it's basically spam protection. Like it'll check the SPF record at a certain domain and check if it's valid. It's really hard to configure. Wouldn't recommend it. Hosts and recipients work as you would expect. Other mail things that I kind of want to touch on but aren't going to be really discussed. Aliases. So if you want to put an alias, like if you host your own domain, and you want to send Bob at domain to go to root on your system, you can just put an alias in your aliases file on Linux. It's just that easy. So when they get Bob, then we'll put it in the root mailbox. It's like NAT, but for aliases. Mail client and Mbox is what we're going to be using on our FreeBSD system and for the first part of Ubuntu. It's basically, it's like, you don't know any of the buttons because it's not a GUI, but it's really, it's efficient. And you use it to read your email. Mbox is what it gets put into when you're done reading it. And there's a cool link if you want to click it. It has a ton of shortcuts. Here's an example usage of mail that when I was researching for this, it was a lot of fun. So whenever I log into Andrew's server, I want to message Hans that I'm online, because then he can hit me up in chat, right? So there's no way of talking to him except if he opens like a Netcat listener or something. So I sent a mail in my bash RC. So every time I log into the server, it'll send a mail that says I'm online. So this is what it'll look like. Hey Hans, I'm online. And there's a script, like the one-liner. So please don't spam him, but it's a cool application. So Postfix is an SMTP service, and here are the commands. It's plain text, the one we're using, so you can literally just type like EHLO because we're using extended SMTP, and it'll just take the commands. Like you can write mail from X, receipt to X, data, and then you type it, and you send it, and it works like an email client, but with more steps. Does anyone have concerns on this large diagram? Okay. So Postfix, unlike SendMail or Exim, which are other MTAs, have a lot of subprocesses. So you'll see in the logs, which we'll look at later, basically SMTPD will handle anything regarding SMTP, like actually handling the protocol interactions. Cleanup will rewrite the headers when you receive them for purposes. And everything pretty much does what you would expect. Queue manager manages the queue. Who would have thought? So we're going to get into the lab. So to actually give yourself internet access, you need to launch the pfsec bots and run auth.sh and type in your creds. So I already did that, but my box has died.
Want to give him a second to power stuff on?
Yeah. So I made the Ubuntu one like slightly larger resolution. Slightly larger resolution, so you'd be able to actually see it. Because GUIs on like the tiny resolution are terrible. It's password one bang, as you would expect. I recommend logging in as root on FreeBSD, not DSU, because it's more convenient. Here's my script. See, it just sends mail as soon as you log in. It's very practical, I assure you. What? No, I have no idea what that is. Yeah, I know. I don't understand everything in my diagram. So I feel like if you talk about this stuff, but you don't actually like see it, it's really hard to know what the heck it is. So here's an example of me sending mail to myself. Wow, I got mail. It says hi. So here's the mail client I was talking about. You type the number to view it, and it's just about that simple. All up? Okay. So you guys need to run auth.sh on the pfSense box, which is your firewall. Otherwise, you will not be able to access the internet, which isn't super important, but it will be slightly later. Yep. Well, my pfSense box doesn't load, like I said. It just doesn't. It just doesn't.
Script should still be there, right?
Ooh. Connecting. So I can restart it and fix that, but I really don't want to.
Okay, that's fair.
So just in your /root, type 8 for shell / it'll be in your /root directory /auth because it's already executable. Type in your valued information, and the iLab will allow you access to the internet.
If you want to show them, I can give you my VM. There you go, it's all yours.
All right.
Or you can just not do it, your choice, man.
Well, I don't think it's too hard.
Refresh one more time.
I have acquired. So here's what it looks like. You need to wait for it to load. Okay, so 8 for shell. And then you're already in /root /auth. Ask for your username. Put in your username. And then type your password. And then it'll be slightly smaller if you actually type valid credentials. And then when you ping google.com, it should work. I did not, so it will not work. Assuming most of you guys have done that. Let's send some mail. So on Ubuntu, I've installed Postfix and Dovecot and Dovecot's IMAPD because you need to install like 2 things. And on FreeBSD, I've just configured the whole thing. So FreeBSD is kind of like, you know, your buddy who already has all this stuff done. And then you need to configure yours so they can talk. That makes it slightly easier and fun, I think. So let's send mail. Postfix text. All right, let's get it. You can test the MTA ability by sending mail to FreeBSD. So just like I did before, you're going to send it to them on your Ubuntu machine because, you know, you send it between. So that's what it's going to look like. I'm going to actually, you know, do it. Okay. Oh, is this yours?
Yep.
All right, we out here. So, just like that, FreeBSD.LAN is the host name I picked for FreeBSD. It really doesn't matter what you add at the end. Send your message. End it with a single period or dot, and then it looks like it's sent, right? There was no error message. So let's go over to FreeBSD. Type mail. There's no mail. What happened? Well, turns out we didn't configure it. So it didn't work because we didn't do anything. But you would never know because it didn't give you any error, which is why mail is kind of frustrating to set up sometimes if you don't know where to look. So here's a block of text for you to digest. var log mail log, mail.log on Ubuntu, has pretty much everything mail. So if you're going to take away one thing, it's probably to look at this directory, because it will tell you all the errors. Like pretty much every mistake I made while setting this up was in there, and then that's how I resolved it. So you should tail follow it, or if you're using journalctl or something, it's really helpful. Some other cool commands that are very niche, postq-p or mailq will show you the mail queue, like things that haven't sent yet. And if you want to read one in the queue, you can postcat-v it, and then give the ID, and it'll read it. So it's really cool because you have to remember like 50 commands that all do one thing, because Unix principles. So Postfix will manage its own daemon. So if you do postfix reload or postfix status, it's convenient, I guess. And then mail or send mail, as you've seen, can actually send mail. And mail by itself will let you receive. So send mail only sends mail, mail does both. So the reason why it didn't send, actually, was because the first thing we ran into was that it couldn't find our host. So we're going to have to talk about DNS, which is always fun. So when you set up, here's a cool diagram. So the sending mail server, if I'm sending to like root@example.org, it'll first make a query for the MX record for the URL. So MX of example.org, and it'll return, for example, mx.example.org. It can be mail, or it can be like cool super mail server, or it can be like tomato. It doesn't matter. And then you get the A record, which is the IPv4, like what you think of when you think of DNS. Like you give it google.com, it gives you IP. This is that. So you check the A record of mx.example.org, it gives you an IP, and then the sending mail server sends it over to hopefully the correct server. So the actual DNS record looks something like this. You tell it the domain, the type, which is internet. You'll see that when you start Postfix. And then MX record, your preference, I believe lower is better. And then the host that you'll get when you ask for the MX record. So that's all cool and all, but we're going to ignore it because I don't want to deal with it. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it in the host file. Here's the IP. I statically configured it for each of you guys. So if you add this IP or this line to your host file on Ubuntu, you'll be able to ping it and hopefully later send mail. So you can use whatever text editor you want. Vim is the best. And then you just put in the IP. Sorry, that's really small. Yep. So you could do like this. Escape, please. Like you could put FreeBSD as well as FreeBSD.LAN. It doesn't matter, but because we're going to be using FreeBSD.LAN. And that's really helpful for other things. So like, if you're doing like hack the box or something, you can make it really easy for yourself and just put it here if you didn't know about the host file before. And it makes it really convenient compared to like typing the IP address every time. I have new mail. Let's check it out. So mail delivery system will just basically tell you what you did wrong very verbosely. Oh yeah. It's sorry to inform me. So you could read this message or you could just read the log and tail it, which you hopefully are doing anyway. So now we have connectivity, hopefully. Yay, okay. We have connectivity. If that doesn't work for you, nothing else will. Questions, concerns, comments? No, okay. Assuming you guys finish that, now we're actually going to configure it. So some of this is redundant, but it makes it clean, easier to read later. So the first thing we're going to do is my hostname, which is used as a variable later in the configuration a lot. So you want it to be your fully qualified domain name or like whatever you're using for your mail server. So if it's mail.ubuntu.lan, you want it to be that. So whenever Postfix receives a host of this, they'll accept it as their own, is basically what that does. That's my destination, which uses the my hostname variable. You'll see it when you edit it. So my networks we're going to set to 0.0.0.0/0, which will bind to everything and allow from every network. So normally people have it set to like localhost or their LAN or something slightly less insecure, but whatever. INET protocols, I'm going to set to IPv4 because I don't want to deal with IPv6 lookups. This is one of the easier workarounds. There are a lot of other workarounds to avoid DNS, but this is just the one I've chosen. And then this line, SMTP DNS support level disabled. This will disable the MX lookups. So this will make it check your host file or just to the A record. So that's the important one if you want it to actually connect. So we're going to actually do this. Yay. So the configuration file, etc postfix, main.cf. On FreeBSD, it's in the user local etc directory. Did you guys get that? That's right. File. Yes? Cool. All right, so it seems like every distro comes with a different a different postfix configuration. This is one of the better ones, but they're sometimes like obscenely long, even for different versions of Ubuntu. So your mileage may vary. So first thing we want to change, my hostname is now ubuntu.lan. Awesome. So you see right here, this is the variable I mentioned. It's bash scheme at least. So we are setting it to, I've already set it to ubuntu.lan here, so it's kind of redundant, but it's already done. Important thing, my networks, you want to set that to bind all, which is that. Last thing. Yes?
Shane, do you know what an open relay is?
Yeah.
Okay.
and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, don't expose this to the internet, because you might be blocked from every spam list.
Because currently you want to explain what open relay is, Shane?
So yeah, an open relay will take any mail and send it to anywhere, which is really cool. And you know,
That's exactly what you created.
yeah, it's a development environment. Okay, so yeah, this is a bad configuration for the real world. So don't do that. But we're learning how mail works, and I assume if you have a job as sysadmin, you will know what these options are and aren't following a DevSec presentation from X amount of years ago. So this will get us started. INET protocols, IPv4. Goodbye, IPv6. No, thank you. And that's just about it, except that thing I talked about: SMTP, SMTP, DNS, support, level equals disabled. Yay. So that's just saying, MX record's bad, which they aren't. They're very helpful in the real world, but lab. Assuming you guys got all those options. Yes? You good? Okay. Now we're gonna postfix reload. Yay, we did it. So I'm also going to start, okay, yeah, I should probably. So I'm launching tmux, which will allow me to multiplex my terminal so I can be super cool, and I split in half. So this is just so I can watch the log at the same time I watch this. So you can have two terminals, you can have nothing if you don't care. It doesn't matter. tmux is great though, you should learn it. So yeah, you can see it read the configuration here. Change to INET protocols, start, yeah, so I did that. So now we try again. So we're gonna do the exact same, that's the same slide as before, so there's nothing new on it. Send mail, root, at freebsd.lan. Howdy. Send. Okay, so we see right here, queued and then removed. So that usually means if there's no error like at the top, which there wasn't, that it worked. But there's only one way to tell. So do you guys send mail? You don't have to type like a novel. Okay, cool. Now, yay, we got mail. Woo, can I get an applause? Yeah, yeah, let's go, yeah. Yeah, it's great. If your socks are still on, I'm in amazement. So we read it with 1 as a number. N means new. If I just decided not to read it and then was back, then it would say unread for you. That's just mail client things. And I said howdy. I transmitted information through a network. And honestly, that's fantastic. So we sent mail, and that's postfix. It was really easy, hopefully. Hopefully your guys' worked. Please stop flashing. So did any of you guys not work and you got an error message that you want to have everyone yell at you about? So everyone's worked. Yes? Maybe? Thank you.
This is a good time to raise your hand if yours actually works, because participation is hard apparently. Luke, did yours work?
No?
That's what I thought. Okay.
It didn't work? Okay, so troubleshooting. Hacker news. Anyway, so I'm going to break something, and then we get to edit it. Wait, I'm already at 35. Okay, maybe I won't do that. But I'm going to read the configuration again to make sure you...
I think I had to modify. I would check your host, just show host as well, because I think I had to modify that one.
Yeah, you did.
I know I meant past what you typed.
Nope, false. This is all you need. You don't even need this. So that's all you need for hosts. If you read your var mail log, it'll tell you what you did wrong, like DNS lookup, bad alias or something. Those are the most common ones. If you get a 500 error, that means the enemy server hates you. If you get a 400, that means your own server hates you. It's like HTTP.
So easy. Could we start sending mail to different people?
You could,
Well,
if you could route to them.
That's the issue.
Yeah.
Usually you're not going to have, and not just the route, but the DNS records for the other teams. You will likely have in general.
Or if you disable DNS.
If you do this whole process
Yeah.
and then you know the the IP address of their mail server, could you theoretically do this? Yes. Should you do this? No. Because white people interpret it as offensive action or something, and they'll yell at you and
What
mayor.
if you're like sending them sheets?
Send them sheets.
That's probably also not allowed.
Yeah, unfortunately, in general, for CCDC, you're just not supposed to interact with other blue teams. If you
So
email,
theoretically, could red team use your mail server to pivot onto a different blue team's mail server?
they're not going to do that because they know the rules. They'll pivot onto your own own stuff, but they won't pivot onto other people's stuff.
Plus, there would be like no benefit of having another
Yeah,
blue
they
team
just-
IP because they'll just, you know, unless you block scoring
If
agent.
you can email Dwayne and he says it's okay, then go for it. Otherwise, don't.
Here's probably the most practical example. I really don't want Andrew to turn off mail, because this is like half my enjoyment in like everything. So you can just send mail. Like I'm gonna send mail Andrew at. What? He did. Oh, it's mail. All right, so I'm gonna get an error for trying to CC no, but otherwise, yeah, he got mail, and hopefully he's happy about it. Because right now he has like 100 sudo logs for people trying to get to root. Anyway, if it didn't work, that's unfortunate. Make sure you have your host and your config, because that's the only two things you need. Moving on. It worked. Yay. So now we're going to talk about Dovecot, which I think is way overemphasized because it's basically just like a glorified SSH tunnel, in my opinion. So Dovecot logs important files. Same log, conveniently. It's a mail log. It has mail stuff. I love it. So you just tail F the same thing. It'll tell you Dovecot errors. It'll tell you, you know, everything you need to know. Dovecot will also manage its own daemon, so you can Dovecot reload. Same deal. So what does it do again? So, you know, you have a server. It has mail on it. Users want that mail. Users don't have SSH access to type mail. Users also don't have their own account. So this will be like, I have mail for Shane.Donahue. Here it is, over the internet. So even though we're going to be accessing a localhost IMAP server, it's still going to be like, you know, proof of concept. So yeah, that's that. I think I just closed it. Darn it. All right, we're back. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. The two things I installed, Dovecot core, and then 2 hours later, Dovecot IMAP-T after realizing you need that to run IMAP. And the only configuration you need is to uncomment port equals 143 because we're doing plain text. Yay. So here's how it go. Main. Oh, it's comp.d, isn't it? No. I love Vim. So here's the directory. It has a ton of configurations for your ease of reading. And you want 10 master. Yep. So this is what it looks like. You guys need that file path again? I'll assume yes. So it's this. Is that too small? No, you can read that. Excellent. So the only thing you need to do is right here at the top. Yay, we're done. All you need to do is uncomment that, and then when it processes it or reloads or whatever, it'll start a listener. Just that easy. Great. Okay, so Dovecot reload. Spelled that wrong. Yay. Okay, so now we have our Dovecot thing listening, hopefully. Yep. So you can check that with ssplun, I guess. So you see on 143, Dovecot's listening right there. It's also listening on 993 for encrypted things, which are, you know, too highbrow for us. So that's how you can test that. And now we're actually going to try to access it with a UA, which is a user access agent, something or other. So I'm launching Thunderbird because it's built into Ubuntu, and I didn't feel like downloading something else. And you do it, so we're a DSU. That's not. So name yourself whatever you want. What is going on? So it's DSU at ubuntu.lan. Because you are the DSU user, that's what we're logging in as. You can't do root because you don't want a Thunderbird as super user or something. And then you type in your system password, which is password 1bang. And it's like, wow, we found it. Yeah, so that didn't work. So we're going to be like, actually, I'm not using encryption. Yeah, and then it's like, this is like either a server run by a crackhead or you're doing something wrong. So it is the former. And then we have an inbox. Yay! So if you're not at this, I don't know what you did wrong. Is anyone not at this that wants to be flamed publicly? All right, yeah. What do you suck at?
So on the setup, the SSL to
Yep.
none.
Yeah, set that to none, because encryption is for not us.
Yeah, you need to do something else.
Yeah, you just set it to none for both, and then you click retest, and then done.
Or refresh?
Yeah.
That should be.
Okay, cool. Is anyone else having a bad time? That's something I can fix. Okay. So now, we have acquired Dovecot. So send me mail, and I'll give you a Nintendo gift card, is basically the premise. Good luck. There's my IP, and I'll be monitoring this inbox. So send me mail from FreeBSD, or else you'll screw up your DNS records like ubuntu.lan. That's already localhost. So not smart. You should do it from FreeBSD, which means you have to use sendmail and not Thunderbird. You're going to send me mail, Cutshot.
I'm going to make a good attempt to send you mail.
So if it doesn't work, that's clearly your guys' fault and not mine.
Because you already configured the main host configuration files, right?
Yes.
So I should use this.
Oh, does anyone that needs my IP have it?
Oh, but you already have it in there. Wow, really complicated. You already have your ubuntu.lan FreeBSD file as well.
Oh, well, it's a different one.
It is. That's why you can. You have to delete it.
Exactly. So you have to edit the host file to put my IP in there using the magic of networking, and then send me mail.
You're monitoring root?
No, DSU. The user is DSU. It's the same as your Ubuntu box. It's literally a clone. Don't ask me why I have a Nintendo gift card.
Seriously, you have some limits.
What did I?
You have to use the archaic.
I've not yet received any mail. Oh, wait. Did I receive mail?
That looks like it's the header.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Are you spamming like get messages by the way as well?
No, it'll just come up. Oh, I got a Charlie Root. Get good from who? I don't know who sent that. You need to put you put your name. What? Okay. Oh my God. Go, all right, cut shot. So yeah. I guess cut shot's gonna.
I don't want Nintendo gift card somebody who has kind of.
Well, that's no fun. No one wants it. Why do you think I'm giving it away? All right. Well, send me your name or something. Oh my gosh, another one. Who's all these Charlies? Stop.
Why is that even Charlie? Really?
That's the default for FreeBSD.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, some trivia for you.
Wait, so here's a good question. Wait, so do you have SMTP accessible on your system as well right now?
This?
On your FreeBSD and or your Ubuntu box?
Just Ubuntu. It's port forwarding through pfSense.
But it is accessible. SMTP on your Ubuntu.
Yeah, you could just raw TCP.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to, you can send Shane mail from his own mail server.
You could. I feel like that's almost harder, but I respect it. That's what you're gonna do next, isn't it? You're just get good from myself.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, I'm replying to you.
because I think by that point we can probably end the meeting and you can be around to help people for a little while longer. Will that work?
No, it's not. Your pfSense will block it. Hello.
Oh.
Should I spam get messages?
No.
What's up?
Off that page didn't work.
Auth.it.
It just like dumped my plain
Anyone else have that happen to them? Did you put in? Does your username contain control characters in any way? Okay. That's your fault. Okay. Yeah.
Not supposed to.
No. That's yeah. I feel like you'd kind of deserve this. I'm not gonna lie. This is sad. No one except Cut Shop males.
Sure, Eric's working on it. No.
Send me one from the government from my own mail server.
If you want to know how until they send you one for your own, make it happen.
Do it.
No, I was
Big
literally
bet.
just gonna pop open the webcams.
You don't remember your SMTP plain text commands? All right. Well.
If you want, if you want to, you can close
Yeah.
out, and we'll just be around for a while.
Okay. Do you want to? Yeah. Did you get? Okay. I think we're done. Right.
Okay, so we're gonna close out for tonight, guys. I'll be around. Shane will be around. If you're having problems with mail, I'm sure he's more than going to help you in any way, shape, or form. Look over your shoulder the entire time.
Yes. Exactly.
After Galen has one more question. I think we're
Yeah. What's up, Galen?
Opt.sh is still broken.
Okay, we'll
Do
fix
you-
it up. So, we're done for tonight. Have a nice night, guys. And we'll, of course, rejoin on Tuesday.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Bruce.
Oh yeah. Go on.